Hi there! Welcome to our video on animals in space. As we all know, humans have been a main player in space discovery in recent past. But did you know that animals have actually been some of the earliest pioneers of space exploration? That's right, before humans ever stepped foot in a spacecraft, dogs, monkeys, and other animals were being sent into space as part of various space exploration programs. In this video, we'll take a look at some of the animals that have been sent into space over the years and their contributions to space exploration. So sit back, relax, and let's blast off into the fascinating world of animals in space. Laika, a dog, was the first animal to orbit the Earth on November 3, 1957, aboard the Soviet Union's Sputnik 2 spacecraft. Laika was a stray dog from the streets of Moscow, and she was selected for the mission because of her small size, calm demeanor, and ability to adapt to extreme conditions. Unfortunately, Laika's mission was one way, and she was not expected to survive the journey. The spacecraft was not designed to be recoverable, and it did not have the necessary systems to keep Laika alive for more than a few days. After a few hours in orbit, Laika died due to overheating and stress. Laika's mission was a milestone in space exploration, and it paved the way for human spaceflight. Her sacrifice also sparked controversy and debate over the use of animals in scientific experiments, which ultimately led to increased regulations and protections for animals used in research. The first chimpanzee in space was named Ham, and he was launched by NASA aboard the Mercury Redstone 2 mission on January 31, 1961. The mission was a suborbital flight, which means that Ham did not orbit the Earth but instead reached a height of 157 miles, 253 kilometers, before splashing down in the Atlantic Ocean about 16 minutes later. Ham's mission was important for testing the safety and feasibility of human spaceflight, as it provided valuable data on how living creatures can adapt to the conditions of space. After the flight, Ham was brought back to Earth and lived the rest of his life in the United States National Zoo in Washington, D.C., where he was a popular attraction until his death in 1983 at the age of 26. In 1963, the French sent a cat named Félicette on a suborbital flight, making her the first cat in space. She was selected as part of a program to study the effects of microgravity on living creatures. During the flight, Félicette's physiological signs were monitored, and she was able to move around and pull levers in response to stimuli. After a 15-minute flight, she returned safely to Earth via a parachute descent. However, despite the success of the mission, Félicette was euthanized shortly after the landing so that scientists could examine her brain for signs of neurological changes. The first monkey to be sent into space was a rhesus monkey named Albert II, who was launched by the United States in 1949. In the following years, both the US and the Soviet Union sent a number of monkeys into space, including several successful missions in which the monkeys were able to survive the flight and return safely to Earth. However, the use of monkeys in space experiments was controversial, and there were concerns about the ethical implications of sending animals into space. As technology advanced, it became possible to use other types of organisms, such as insects and rodents, in space experiments, and the use of monkeys in spaceflight gradually declined. Fish have been sent into space on a number of occasions for scientific research purposes. One of the earliest known experiments involving fish in space was conducted by the Soviet Union in 1973, when they sent a school of Medaka fish on the Soyuz 10 mission to study the effects of microgravity on their development and behavior. Since then, other fish species such as zebrafish and swordtail fish have been used in space experiments. These experiments have aimed to investigate the effects of microgravity on a range of physiological and behavioral functions, such as bone density, muscle growth, and immune system responses. Turtles have been sent into space by the Soviet Union, including the two species of turtle, Greek tortoise and the spur-thighed tortoise, which were launched in 1968 aboard the Zond 5 spacecraft and orbited the Moon before returning to Earth. The tortoises were selected for their ability to survive without food or water for extended periods of time, making them suitable for spaceflight. In 1995, Japanese researchers sent 9 Medaka fish, Japanese rice fish, embryos into space to study the effects of microgravity on their development. In 2011, China sent a group of snails into space to study the effects of microgravity on their behavior and reproduction. It's worth noting that while these animals were used in the early days of space exploration to study the effects of spaceflight on living organisms, modern space exploration programs generally do not use animals for this purpose, and instead rely on advanced technology and human astronauts to conduct experiments and research in space. Overall, while animal testing in space exploration has become increasingly rare, there are still some cases where animals are sent into space for scientific research purposes. It's important to note that space agencies and researchers take great care to ensure the safety and well-being of any animals that are involved in space missions. As we conclude, I have a question for you. Can you recall the name of the first dog that was sent to space? Feel free to share your answer with us in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider subscribing to our channel and leaving a comment below. See you soon!